Welcome. I am adding this video for you about a daily mandala activity that you can do. And so, what I recommend is to start small. You could even start with maybe a 2-inch circle if you're feeling like that is enough for you. You could even do a 1-inch circle and do maybe like 2 to 3 minutes with this. But I am actually going to use a 3. So I'm just going to use a stencil actually, and I'm going to use a 3-inch stencil for my circle, and I'm going to put that on my page. So let me put it in a place that is good for you to see. And so you could do this in a sketchbook where you actually have several of these on one page. You could do them each individually on a separate piece and have them all, be separate of their own. You could do several on one page and then eventually tie them together. But really, these don't have to be, they're not for the purpose of making something that you're going to complete necessarily. These are purely for the process of being present in the moment and doing it, right? That's for the process, not for the product. It's all about the process here. And so you can do this however feels right for you. But one thing that I do suggest is taking a moment to ground yourself and just get centered in your body and present with your breath before you begin. And then set yourself a timer for this. And so I'm going to actually give myself 5 minutes, and I will just watch the timer on the video here, and when my 5 minutes are up, then I will be done and walk away, because like I said, this is for the process. It's about being in that process. And so I'm going to allow myself to work on it for that amount of time and then be done with it, and whatever happens in that time happens. So I have a variety of different materials around me right now. I have some markers, I have some watercolors, I have lots of different things that I can work with if I so choose, and I'll just see whatever comes up. So really, this process is about being present and allowing to happen whatever wants to happen. All right, so here we go. I will begin my 5 minutes right now. And I'm just allowing the materials that I have around me to speak to me as they want to be used. I don't really have a plan necessarily as to what I'm making. I'm just following my guidance. Be surprised how quickly 5 minutes goes, especially when you start working. If you allow yourself to really be present with what it is that you're doing, it's quite easy to lose track of time. I often find myself making a lot of patterns because to me, patterns are very meditative. I've always been drawn to patterns. I actually was a surface pattern design major in college for a little while. But there's something about the repetition that really speaks to me, and so especially in these mandalas that I do, I really allow myself to lean into that and embrace the different patterns. So a lot of times you will see mandalas and they start in the center and then they rotate out, and I'll talk about that a little bit more when I overview the activity for you. But really, there's no rule. I'm going to use a little bit of watercolor here, so let me just bring that in. I'm actually not working on watercolor paper, and that is on purpose. And I like how the marker smears a little bit and runs in with the marker and runs in with the paint. I like the effect that it gets, and I think that's because so often in my life I'm very particular and very cautious and careful to keep everything in its place, or to find order in things. I think that we're somewhat conditioned to do that, and this is kind of a freeing thing for me. It feels very freeing to just allow it to all run together. This is really going with the flow, right? It's a metaphor for that. And sometimes we go outside the lines. That's okay too. I actually like how it looks when it bleeds over the outside a little bit. I know that I am actually coming up on my time here quite quickly. It goes really, really fast. 5 minutes go really, really fast. So I'm gonna just work through the end of the 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna walk away. So that's it, and look, I didn't finish. Is that okay? Absolutely. Could I finish? Sure, I could. I could also leave it and practice sitting with what happens in the time that I'm allotted and let it just be, Maybe to some artists this might be finished, right? Like if you were to look at this not knowing what my process was or not having been here with me, would you look at it and say, oh, she didn't finish? Or maybe you would think, oh, she left that part intentionally white. Great. Maybe if this were cut out and put onto a different background, that would look purposeful, right? And so it doesn't mean that you have to have the whole circle covered. It doesn't mean that you have to limit yourself either. I could work on this same piece for another 20 minutes or maybe another hour and a half, and maybe that's something that you really want to do and you have the time and the practice capacity to do that. Then great, do that. But the reason why I am saying start small is because oftentimes we don't have that space. And so if you can commit to yourself to give yourself 3 to 5 minutes each day to do this. You could do this with a simple pen. You could do it, you wouldn't even have to have art materials around you. You could just use pen and paper. You could do it in sand. You could, create it out of folded up laundry socks. Anything that you can just like come and create this mandala, create this circle, and then spend a dedicated amount of time in there is going to be really beneficial. So thank you for watching.